Welcome to the News Hour. As we near the 2-week mark to Election Day, former President Donald Trump traveled to North Carolina to see the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, while Vice President Kamala Harris toured swing states alongside former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. Laura Barone-Lopez has this report.
The Democratic nominee for president campaigned with unlikely company today, Republicans.
This election is presenting, for the first time probably in certainly recent history, a very clear choice and difference between the two nominees. And I think that is what, as much as anything, is bringing us as Americans together.
Vice President Kamala Harris spent the day in moderated conversations with former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, starting in Pennsylvania.
I've spent time working in countries where people aren't free and where people are struggling for their freedom. And I know how quickly democracies can unravel. But I tell you, again, as someone who has seen firsthand how quickly it can happen, that is what's on the ballot.
It's the latest in a string of unprecedented events Harris has held with Republican figures like Cheney. The pair then made their way to Michigan for another event.
What is at stake in this election is so fundamental that it really does cross partisan lines.
Meanwhile, Harris's running mate, Governor Tim Walz, spent the morning with the hosts of The View.
Nothing Donald Trump is proposing does anything about the middle class, and every economist, Moody's themselves, talked about what it would do to drive up inflation, potentially leading us to recession. So there's more work to be done. We acknowledge that. I think the vice president's proposals are real.
Former President Donald Trump was in Swannanoa, North Carolina, to tour storm damage from the recent hurricane.
But it's vital that we not let this hurricane that has taken so much also take your voice. You must get out and vote.
Trump repeated baseless claims about the federal government's response to the disaster.
Certainly, you have all heard the same stories that we all hear, that FEMA has done a very poor job. They were not supposed to be spending the money on taking in illegal migrants, maybe so they could vote in the election, because that's a lot of people are saying that's why they're doing it.
Later, the former president again deployed dark and anti-immigrant rhetoric in Greenville, North Carolina.
Under the Trump administration, we are going to take back what is ours. We will end the looting, ransacking, raping, and pillaging of North Carolina and, frankly, every other state in the union.
On Sunday, Trump scooped French fries and served fast food to staged customers at a Pennsylvania McDonald's. The political stunt comes as Trump has accused Harris, without any evidence, of lying about her college job at a McDonald's. On the same day, in an interview with Fox News, Trump again described Democrats like Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi as enemies from within.
You talk about the enemy within. There's enemies, America's enemies outside. The enemy within is a pretty ominous phrase if you're talking about other Americans.
I think it's accurate. I think it's accurate. But when you look at Shifty Schiff and some of the others, yeah, they are, to me, the enemy from within. I think Nancy Pelosi is an enemy from within. She lied.
It's rhetoric Trump used against fellow Americans on a podcast days earlier.
They were saying he said the enemy from within. Of course, it's Adam Schiff. These are bad people. These are sick people and bad people.
Speaker of the House Mike Johnson deflected when asked on CNN this weekend if Trump's vows to use the National Guard against political enemies was okay.
What President Trump is talking about is that they have been attacking and maligning him from the day he came down that golden escalator. Everybody knows that's true.
At a rally on Saturday in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, hometown of the golf legend Arnold Palmer, the former president started talking about the late golfer's genitalia.
Arnold Palmer was all man. And I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women. He took showers with the other pros. They came out of there, they said, oh my God.
At the same rally, Trump used an expletive when talking about Vice President Harris.
We can't stand you, you're a vice president.
In an MSNBC interview with Al Sharpton on Sunday, Harris said the American people deserve better.
And what you see in my opponent, a former president of the United States, really is, it demeans the office. And I have said, and I'm very clear about this, Donald Trump should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. He has not earned the right.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Laura Barone-Lopez.